everyone, and welcome back to my channel. This is Alex of Coyote Star Astrology, and I am very excited to introduce you to my guest here today. He's someone that I hold in very high regard, and he's been a huge inspiration to me for a really long time. He is a world-renowned astrologer and syncretist, and in my opinion, master of esoteric sciences. He's taught workshops and lectures all over the world. You may know him, the man, the myth, the legend, Santos. Thank you so much for being here, Santos.
It's my pleasure, dear sister. Thank you for the great introduction.
I want to preface it by allowing my viewers to sort of get introduced to what it is that you do. When I say that you're a syncretist, could you tell us a little bit about that?
For sure. Okay, so syncretism is all-inclusive field of science. It's always been around. If you go to Wikipedia and put syncretism in there, you will see that it has been in the background in all cultures forever. So it's nothing new. It's not mine. Sync, anything to sync means to bring together. So with syncretism, one is able to unify and understand all fields of human knowledge and science, all of them. Languages, what we call religion, all philosophies, all cosmologies, mythologies, and the correct model of the atom, which is crucial for understanding everything. And syncretism is all about physics, logic, and ethics, the three pillars of philosophy. So you learn the ethics, how one should comport themselves in this world to ascend, how to purify, optimize, etc. The logic, so we present all the arguments and make them understandable. And the physics, the sine wave. Astrology is based on the sine wave. It's an electromagnetic sine wave. So
Wow.
When you say you are an astrologer, you are saying, as the West Easterners say, they call it Jyotish, which means the science of light. And guess what? John 4:4 in the Bible says God is light. Well, that's interesting. So we are students because we're not, well, we can be masters if other people think, you called me a master, I appreciate that. That's very, very kind. But I'm a student of astrology, which means I study light waves, God waves. Every wave, from start to end, whatever wave it is, a thought wave, emotion wave, sound, light, all waves start in Aries at the equator, go up to the Tropic of Cancer, which is wave amplitude. Then it goes through the equator again at Libra and goes to the other side to complete the red shift, blue shift function of all waves. And then it goes down to the Tropic of Capricorn, and then it comes back up again to the middle where Aries is. And every wave, this is known to the esoteric scientists. It's also known to the Cabal who run the world and give us the electrical grid by dismantling the ancient Tartarian free energy magnetic grid. And they know that astrology is the science of God. I call it the Word of God. And the reason they do this is because they do not want us to be empowered by the mother of all sciences, which we must all be pupils of if we wish to ascend correctly to the place we really want to go to. Astrology is crucial. It has to be in our knowledge base. You cannot avoid it. You cannot run away from the electromagnetic phenomena that is nature, and you must understand nature, which is God.
And when you say red shift, blue shift, you're talking root chakra, crown chakra, right?
Exactly. Why is the bottom chakra red of your torso, Taurus field, and why is the top one in the throat blue? So, because that's how the electromagnetic spectrum works. Magnetism is what creates that rainbow of 7 colors, and they are 7 electricities. They are not magnetism. Magnetism is pure white light. So when you see that prism on the front of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon album,
I want to talk about the Dark Side of the Moon later.
And you see the beautiful white beam being shot into the prism, and then at the other side you see what we call the physical, electronic, vibratory colours of electricity. There are 7 electricities which correspond with your 7 senses. They all have a different function, and that really, I would call it the electrical spectrum rather than electromagnetism, but both work.
Wow. So just to give people a little backstory on how this meeting even took place, I had the pleasure of meeting Santos in person, I don't think it was 2 years ago, at a coffee shop in Los Angeles. And that was really when I got deeply introduced to his work. And since then, I've wanted to sit down with him and talk. But most recently, it was during the 8/8 Lionsgate portal day, which is very popular in New Age circles, which I lovingly term the New Age nightmare. And I reached out to Santos to do this talk because I really want my viewers to be exposed to the depth of astrology. And he's one of the only people, in my opinion, that does this and goes into these deep places. And a conversation that Santos and I had as well was that when you really understand what astrology actually is and what you understand what the planets are, you will treat them with reverence and respect. It's when you don't understand that and it turns into this new age garbage. So that's really what I'm so glad you're here, to expose people to the reality of what we're talking about here, and that these are gods. And that's one of the things I really want to talk with you about, because I get chills every time you go into this. So could you go into that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. My pleasure. This is what makes my heart glad, to speak about the gods and speak about the phenomenal electromagnetic universe. Everything is electromagnetic, and it comes to us in little packets called atoms. They're just torus fields, miniature torus fields. So, and some of them, torus is an anagram for star. So your body is made up of stars. You have an anatomy, which means you're a star body. You are stardust. That's why you become a youngster, a sister, a spinster, master, monster, minister, mobster, gangster, fraudster, superstar, rock star, movie star, pastor, minister, disaster, imposter. But we all have what we call ancestors. So the fact that these little stars make up our body, torus fields, which we call atom, hence an anatomy, everything is atoms. That's why in the Hermetica, every verse ends with all is atum, ad nauseum. You can hardly read the Hermetica without cringing at how much the Egyptians used to say in the great Hermetic science, all is atum, all, everything. So if that means everything is atum, well, that means then everything is atum. So all the letters of the alphabet are atum. You are atum. You are an anatomy. The sun is atom. In fact, it's called Adam. Adam is another way of saying atom. And we are all children of Adam because we all have atoms. Mm-hmm. So, and in fact, the book of Hermes, or Enoch, which it's the same person, Thoth, Mercury, Buddha, Enoch. In the book of Enoch, it gives the sun 2 names. And of course, one of them happens to be Thomas. So that just shows you that all is at Tom.
Right.
Here in Mexico, the sun god is called Tonantzin. There's the Mayan calendar. It's not the Mexican one, but the Aztec one. But the Aztec one has the sun. That is That is called tonansin. Ton. All is a ton. So if you've got a tomb in Egypt and tonansin or tonatio, male counterpart, then you've got, and in India, their version is Atma, which is an anagram of atom. So they say everybody is an Atma. You are a Jiva Atma, which means an individualized soul, but there is such a thing as the Paramatma, Atma, meaning the over soul of every soul. And that's what we call God, the complete package of electromagnetic reality or manifestation that is transpiring before our eyes.
Right.
So when we look at the sun, we are looking at Thomas. Thomas means twin because the demiurge is the twin. He uses white light, source creator, to produce a redshift, blueshift universe made of vibrations. Vibrations are electrical. They are transverse waves. But what precedes those waves are superior waves called radial waves, radiation, longitudinal, scalar, standing waves. They've been called many kinds of waves, but this is the Tesla wave. This is the Hertz wave because this is the one that hurts you. And it's the one of the demiurge. So the sun is causing redshift, blueshift.
Right.
And those colors then go on to produce material, animated, conscious bodies. And so it is, in reality, or in the Mayan unreality, it's an electrical world. The electrical world, electricity is a hybrid. It cannot exist apart from magnetism. That's why Isis, magnetism, she always carries her son Horus, because it's telling you that electricity, the son of God, the demiurge, not the true source God, is dependent on the source. It's dependent on its mother. That's why in Christianity, we here in Mexico, they always talk about the mother of God.
Right.
They love the mother of God because it's magnetism, because God is electricity, Elohim.
Wow.
Yeah, and what we are students, Alex, you and I, of the waves that the sun creates. We learn how there are long waves, that's called a year. There are shorter waves called a day. Then there are waves called a month. There are waves called a week, a minute, a second, an hour, a century, a millennia. But within the millennia wave, there will be lots of centennial waves, and in there will be lots of decades, and in there there'll be 10 years, and there will be many hours, many weeks, and many months. And all of those waves are fractals, self-similar fractals of that millennia wave. So what happens is the solar system is electromagnetic. Venus, the goddess, Aphrodite, Mars, Adam, partner of Eve, Jupiter, all of these gods on Mount Olympus, going around Mount Meru, the North Pole of our stationary horizontal planet Earth, as they go around, they set in motion all of the historical goings-on and events that will ever transpire are decoded in their movements, are coded into, or should I say, they are all scripted. That's why we have Holy Scripture, because it's all a script, and they run the show. They run the show. So when you go into your chart, say you had an accident yesterday, a car crashed into you in the back and damaged all your trunk and everything. Now it's $1,000 to repair it. So you go to your chart and you go back to the hour and the minute, and guess what you will find. Now what you're doing is you're doing transits. You're going back to see what planets today are aspecting with my natal planets to see how, in the picture of astrology, how you can see where and how the accident happened. And 100% of the time, you will find the cause of what you're looking for if you know what you're doing, because it's already been scripted.
Yeah. Wow.
We call it destiny and fate. Yes, it is such a thing. But that doesn't mean you are destined to do this or that.
Yeah,
It's
so
just that
where does this idea of free will kind of come in?
free will is about choices and the consequences of them, and changing the course of your life and the direction of it for your own optimization and for your own betterment. And we all, unless you're a criminal, we all want to improve.
Right, right.
Every day I want to improve. I try to, make my, put minerals in my hair to make it darker, and I trim my eyebrows to, just to look clean and tidy, and I get my little shaver and stick it in my nose, and, do my ears so that I look presentable.
Right.
I don't want to go out there and people look at me and go, look at this. Look at the hair in this guy's ears, or whatever. And the women do this. They spend hours there. They put makeup here. Oh, I'm pretty. Oh, my lips. Now I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you're a criminal and you hate life and there's something wrong with you, you want to improve. And
Right.
so astrology helps you to improve, because if you do the transits for tomorrow, say you have an important event, you've got to go to court at 10 o'clock and you've got an enemy and he's making a complaint against you. So what you can do is you can go and have a look at tomorrow at 10 o'clock and you can see, let's say Mars is squaring Saturn in the 7th house, the house of public enemies. Probably the best to go in and get it adjourned.
Right.
You might want Venus in the 7th house,
Right.
the house of public enemies,
Right.
because she will bring wisdom, brotherhood, fraternity, loving, motherly energy, and she will help you. And that's concerning your chart. So you can see which day will be strong, where you will go into court and you can have confidence because the gods are with you, not against you.
Exactly. So if you're taking the proper or the most optimal transits for a certain circumstance, you're basically asking the question, how are the gods interacting today? Like, and for that matter, when you're looking at someone's birth chart, you're looking at how the gods were interacting when they came in. Yeah.
Exactly. So you're looking at the electromagnetic constitution of the individual. It's a blueprint, it's a schematic of the moment you take your first breath. That's why it's called a natal chart. So on that day, in the field, in the ether that you breathed from, it was charged with ionic energies,
right,
which were transmitted by the 7 or the 10 dominant, because we can include the firmament, this crystalline sea, and the primum mobile, according to the Ptolemaic model, which I am a Ptolemaic tropical astrologer. So if you do that in the Jewish system with the Kabbalistic tree, there's your Kether, there's Chokmah and Benar or whatever. Anyway, the bottom is Malkuth, but that's the 10. That's the 10 actual stars, if you include Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, to the 7 visible traveling stars or wandering stars or gods. Those 10 were actually sending their energies according to the sign they were in, according to the house they were in, according to the aspects with other planets they were making at the time, whether they were harmful or not. And this is why some people, unfortunately, they are birthed at a time when there are many, many bad angles or angels in the chart, and they are born sick or very weakly or always tired.
Right.
It's in the chart.
Right.
And then you see strong people. Well, that's because you've got the sun in the 10th house, like Sri Rama Krishna has. Of course, God would have the sun in the 10th house. Trump has the sun in the 10th house. All in Gemini. All this, the 10th house. This people have strong first house, strong planets in the 10th house, and nothing really detrimental in the 6th house or the 8th. Generally, they're strong, and that's in the chart. So you can medically look at the condition of an individual just by examining their chart.
Right.
I've looked at people's chart and said, right, well, you need to take care of your left kidney. It's down in energy. You need to take care of your lungs, your spleen, your skin, and 99% of the time it's dead on accurate.
Right.
The other thing is that why sometimes maybe it's not is because other things in the chart have granted. You always have to take the chart as a whole thing. You don't just look at the 6th house and make a thorough examination of the individual's health. That would be like a doctor saying just because you go in and you start coughing that you've got a flu or a virus. No, you'd need at least 5 symptoms. That doctor will go broke really quick if he just looks at one thing and makes a diagnosis. So with astrology, in other areas of the chart, maybe that organ, which over here in the 6th house was struggling, is now strengthened by some other part of the chart. So you have to spend good time with the chart. You have to really examine things, the degrees, the minutes, and the seconds. The Egyptians, they used to record the meanings of every degree, every minute, and every second of the 360-degree ecliptic of the year, and they knew and recorded what they all meant and what would happen and you could pretty much predict exactly the day that something would happen, even the color of clothes that you're wearing, even the minute.
Yeah.
See, we've lost all that. The Romans hoarded that when they burnt the Alexandrian library. Sure they did. They went and stole them, brought them to the Vatican and said, no more astrologers we want a Christian-backed government that hates astrology. It's from the devil and it's a pseudoscience. We've said that all along without any proof. And everybody's going to go and believe it, and we're going to make a mockery of it and make you look like fools and witch hunt you and tell people that these are crazy astrologers. So they did that deliberately so that we would not have that power of prediction and that power that we could have to do things at the appropriate time and have a blessed paradise on this earth. They took this away from us, but guess what? Now with technology, we can make a computer program, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to make the best astrological website in the history of history, and we're going to get doctors' records, police records. We're going to get all the records of events that have happened. Imagine people getting a heart attack, having an operation and dying at a certain hour, and then it's there in the chart. And then, so if we can get a hold of those records, then we can put all the events into the system, and it will just tell you what every degree means. So we can recuperate that information because we have enough data. All you need is data, a good strong database, and then we can re-establish what those seconds and minutes had in them of information. And so that's what I'm endeavouring to do here, Alex. We're on Sunday, tomorrow, we are starting the Neoplatonic Geocentric Syncretism Virtual Academy, and we have tens and tens of teachers. We've got yoga teachers, we've got astrologers. I'd like to offer you a position. We can talk about that later, but I would love to have you weekly on the schedule. It will be paid work. We pay all the people who are going to be teaching. We've got yoga instructors, people who teach breathing techniques, Wim Hof method. We've got neurohacking guys. We've got sovereignty. We've got the best teachers teaching how to, establish your standing and status so that you don't have to refuse a vaccination. You can simply decline it, because refusing is belligerent and you're going to get yourself in trouble if you use that legal language. But if you decline the offer, because they can only offer you, they cannot force anything upon you. So we're going to teach people this. We're going to teach people how to make wealth so they don't have to have a job. They can sit at home on the computer and they can be in a marketing company. We've got good marketing companies with good products like LifeWave. I have my LifeWave stem cell patch here. Without that, I go with my patches every day. So I get vitality, I get intelligence, I get glutathione, I get all the stem cells that I need. Tens and tens and tens of people are signing up under us and leaving their jobs and helping people with health and themselves with health and wealth. So we're teaching people how they can lose their boss and be wealthy. All kinds of things, Alex. It's so exciting. Tomorrow, the Virtual Academy is going to be launched. Then I have two other lifetime projects. One is, I've already mentioned, the best astrological site in the history of history. And the other one is to make documentaries with good graphics on syncretism, the Taurus field, transcendental themes, and how astrology works.
Wow. And where can people check that out?
Well, already there's my YouTube channel, Mr. Astrotheology.
I'll put that in the description. But
yep, and Syncretism Society YouTube channel as well. And then tomorrow you'll be able to go to syncretismsociety.com and see what we are doing. We have the best platform, and we are now officially a geocentric, tropical astrology, syncretism, Neoplatonic and Hermetic school, because Justinian shut down the Neoplatonic academies in 527 by edict. And bye-bye Ptolemaic astrology, bye-bye Porphyry, Placidus, and all the greats that gave us the Porphyry house system, the Placidus house system, which is variable house. One of the most accurate systems ever. Goes way back to the Egyptians, people. And Ptolemy. Now, why do we have astrologers here in this on this planet that think the moon is a rock, that you can send a cake mixer type aluminium flabby space machine and land three men with a dune buggy in there so they could have a ride and, look good, a telephone to ring Dickie, and golf clubs. You've got to take your golf clubs if you're going to do some scientific research on a rock. Now, that rock, it's funny, the moon rock disappears for 60 hours at the new moon every month. Houston, I think we've lost a rock for 60 hours. The moon is right there in front of the sun because my astronomy site that I'm using on my computer tells me that it's a new moon and the moon is passing in front of the sun and I can't see it for 60 hours. And then after that 2.5 days or 3 days in which the Christ dies and then comes out of the tomb, and all the Muslims rejoice when they see that new moon crescent. They stop fasting, they stop they stop everything. They start a new month. And why? Because the moon came out of the invisible nothing and then just appeared as a crescent. And then all the other bit of the moon is blue, showing that it is not a physical body.
Yes. So tell us about the moon. What is the moon?
The moon is a wormhole. It's a portal. It's the same size as the sun. And how can you prove that? Well, simple. If the moon's orbit were an ellipse, which it is, and the differential is 30,000 miles, so it can be either 30,000 miles closer to the Earth at perigee or 30,000 miles further away from the Earth at apogee, one motion. Then we've got the Earth orbiting the Sun in an ellipse, an elliptic orbit, and maximum differential is on July 4th, the Sun is 5 million miles away further from the Earth on July 4th, aphelion day, which is apogee. And then opposite on January 4th, perihelion or perigee day, the Sun is another 5 million miles closer to the Earth. So how is it that whenever we have a solar eclipse, they're the same size? If they're meeting up at these eclipses on different parts of their elliptical orbits, but they're always the same size because they are wormholes in the firmament. The firmament, Ptolemy spoke about the firmament as the eighth sphere, which is the second motion, because the first motion is the primum mobile. And in between the primum mobile is what's called the crystalline sea, which Neptune rules over. Uranus rules over the firmament, because the firmament means heaven, and Uranos means heaven. And the primum mobile, Ptolemy says, is the first motion. That's where all the mechanism of history begins, its first motion, at the primum mobile. Then, as Russian dolls go down to the Earth, the moon is the last portal. So souls enter, they go in through, according to all the Neoplatonists, the souls come from the Milky Way galaxy, they go in through the rings of Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon being the ovaries of the solar system and the sister of the Earth. She then opens her portal for your soul to come into the physical dimension, and the Earth gives you her minerals as your cloak, your vestment, which is your corpus, your physical body. So, but as your soul came through those seven, the Neoplatonists and Manly P. Hall, Alvin Boyd Kuhn, Thomas H. Burgoyne, all of those greats that I teach, they all give you a vestment. Saturn gives you prudence. Jupiter gives you judgment. Mars gives you will. The Sun gives you divine will. Venus gives you beauty and intelligence. Mercury gives you communication. The Moon gives you imagination. That's according to Manly P. Hall. There are other attributes that you acquire as well.
Right.
But these are conditions. So now you are being conditioned because before you came in through the Milky Way galaxy and through that moon portal, you can clearly see that it's a wormhole. That's not a sphere.
Right.
For a start, no sphere can reflect light over all of its surface.
Totally.
You can do this in a dark room with a torch at one end and a globe at this end, and you can see, from afar that only a little square patch to the side will reflect back to you. So therefore, the moon is not a sphere.
Right.
It's a disc, as the Egyptians said. It's a disc. It's like a shut. It's like a ionized transcendental substance that's sublimated or attenuated, as Manly P. Hall says it. And those elements behave as we do not understand. That's why we call them the gods, because they are transcendental. We understand gold, silver, mercury, and how to make cars and things like that. But we look up there and we see the moon with craters in it, and we see it never turns, and we see only one side, and then we see it disappear for 60 hours. And we see all this crazy stuff with the moon. And everyone marvels at the moon. I was a street performer for 12 years. And I knew when it was a full moon by how many crazies were in the crowd listening to me. Because sometimes I'd shut my eyes. I'd start the song. I didn't sing. I was just an instrumental guitarist.
Yeah.
Did this for 12 years. And I'd shut my eyes, and then I'd finish the song and people would be clapping and I had a crowd around me, and I'd open my eyes and look around and whoops, there's a crazy guy, there's another one. You can tell because they're like talking to themselves. And then I'd say to myself, I haven't checked on the moon lately. It's a full moon.
Right.
And sure enough, every single time you see all these crazy people come out of the psych wards, and they come out of their homes. They want to get crazy out there. Crime increases at the full moon. Police records will show that. Suicides. Yeah. That's why the song "Manic Monday,"
yeah,
by Bob Geldof. What was it called? Anyway, I hate Mondays. Monday is the day of most suicides in general. But when there's a full moon...
Lunatic, lunacy. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Exactly. Even the word maniac comes from the moon. Right. Monster, right. Moon star, demon, deity of the moon.
So
monkey. The moon turns us into monkeys.
Right. So, okay, so we come through, we pass through all the gods. Mars gives us will, passion, Venus gives us beauty. So, but then we have this other layer of the archetypes that the planets are in. So if your Mars is in Sagittarius, la 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 la. So where does that piece come in?
Beautiful, beautiful question. So now what we have is what Alvin Boyd Kuhn calls the 12 gods, the 12 apostles, the 12 gates. The lion gate is in Leo, of course. When Samson kills the lion, that's the sun going through Leo. When Hercules Mithra kills the bull, that's the sun going through Taurus. When Abraham kills the ram, that's the sun going through Aries. So we have 12 mental titans. They are the titans, and on Mount Olympus, going around and around, there is Zeus, Jupiter Zeus, Jupiter, going around with his daddy, the Titan, Saturn. They are the 7 physical notes. So you have, in music, we have 12 notes and you have 7. Yes, you see, the chromatic scale is 12, and they are associated with the astrological signs. So when you said, well, what about if Venus is in Sagittarius, how is that different to Venus in Libra? Well, this is a great question. You see, Venus now receives another condition. She receives the condition of mutable fire. Mutable fire. And she also receives the archetype, the equine, the horse, the wisdom. So now Venus is more wise now than when she was in Libra. In Libra, she would be more fair and just. But here she's more philosophical and devoted to the gods in Sagittarius, the 9th sign. The house of Sagittarius, or the equivalent would be the 9th house, which is devotion to the gods, pilgrimages, divine science, astrology, philosophy, spiritual science, your spiritual higher mind, etc. So now you've got, let's say you've got Venus in Sagittarius. You're going to get a wise. Your beauty will be of the kind that is wisdom, and people will enjoy the beauty of your wisdom. Your wisdom will have beauty. Your wisdom will be channeled through Venus. See, this is why everyone is so different. Some people have a very coarse, arrogant wisdom. Some people have very soft-natured, passive wisdom. Other people get things done by being martial and aggressive, right? So these are all the energies we can draw from. It's all energy. God is energy, conscious energy. That's what God is. And if you deny God, then you're denying energy, which is ludicrous, So So, and then the house, of course, then it conditions it further, because the house will tell you basically the culture, or rather the nurture. The sign is more about the nature of the individual. I see the signs as where you get your nature, and I see the houses as where your nurturing is. What's going to, where you're going to excel in certain areas of your life, due to the nurture, and not necessarily your nature, and how you bring your nature into that house, right, and that will show you, how you get things done. So astrology is the map of every wave, and so in your natal chart you will have the map of everything that has ever transpired. If you go back into the day you were born and do all the transits, you'll see all the events. They'll be all recorded there perfectly. The accident you had when you were 12, you bought your first car, you had your first boyfriend, girlfriend, you got married, first child, it's all there. It's all there. Yeah. I've done this many times. And what I like doing is when people say to me, I had an accident, a car accident 2 years ago. And I say, stop right there. And say, give me the date and the time, and I will show you that Mars or something like that will be transiting the 8th house. All right, we're going to see trouble in the 8th house. And lo and behold, the people are like, but wow. And then all the other things that I see that happened on that day, it's all in there. And you can do this, with everything. Everything. Every single thing is recorded. The only shame of it, well, not shame, but the sad thing about it is that if we had those books with the degrees and seconds and minutes and seconds, because even a second can change whether you lose money or gain money. Imagine what the minutes can change, and the degrees, and the planet on that degree, in what sign and in what house, aspecting what planet. So you can see the theatre is already scripted, folks. And the science of it is astrology. It's in the Bible. God tells you must study astrology. Job 38:32. Good old God up in the heavens says, hey, Joby boy, do you know how to work out the Mazzaroth? Hebrew word for zodiac and astrology. And Job says, yes, God, I think I'm pretty good at it. I call myself a prophet, because that's what a prophet is, an astrologer, a prophet. He can prophesy, he can see and divine into the future. And so Job gets a pat on the back, and God says, good, you watch my heavens, because the stars, I said in Genesis, I put them there for times and seasons and to notice everything. I put them there as a clockwork for your benefit. Do you know the Mazzaroth, Job? Right, so, and it's considered to be the oldest book in the Bible. So when people say, oh, no, I don't do astrology, I bumped into a Christian woman the other day and asked her for a sign, and she says, I don't do that. And I thought to myself, oh, yeah, you're so clever, aren't you? But you got the jab? That's nice. Yeah, you're all protecting everybody else, aren't you? Yeah, and you're wearing a mask? Good girl. Bye now. Right. Because it's the same people, same mentality, stupid. But I don't want to be derogatory here.
So you're absolutely right. The Bible is full of astrology, so much so that it's actually astounding. And so this brings me to my next question. Where do you think that astrology came from? Like, how did that technology come into our hands?
No one invented it. No one created it. Right. Necessarily of humans, or rather discovered it, created it. Rather, they knew it. Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. When in the Golden Age, as Thomas H. Burgoyne says, we have the full capacity of our consciousness, 100%. In the Iron Age, you only have 25%. So 75% of your consciousness is not with you at this age, unfortunately. And only through meditation can you access that. And that's how I accessed my syncretism, because I did a lot of meditation and I paid attention. So, what was the question again? Sorry?
I was just asking you the origin of astrology, but I totally agree with you. Just to speak to what you're saying, I just did an interview with another astrologer, Tiarni. She's amazing. And she said at one point, she was like, yeah, you know, if you want to know astrology and you want to know your chart, sure, read some books, but you could also just go sit under a tree and close your eyes and it'll, you know, when you start to sync with this, it just floods through. So I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it's there. It exists. It is. The moment you begin to study physics, the world, nature, whatever you want to call it, you don't have to be a supernaturalist or a transcendentalist here. You can just be a scientist in the laboratory. Whenever you begin on that journey, you want to learn how things are made. And then the deeper you go, the better and more conscious you are, the deeper you will see that everything goes back to cells, which go back to atoms, which molecules and DNA and atoms and electromagnetism. You hit a wall. At the end of everything is all is atom, all is electromagnetism. So we knew this. Now we have to back engineer it, reverse engineer it, you know, to come to these conclusions. But before, we already knew it. It came with the breath of Brahma, the knowledge of astrology, the science of it came fully developed with each individual that was generated from the breath of Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Krishna. So there's nothing new under the sun. Yeah. You know, there is no future and past. It's all the one eternal. We already know everything. It's here. It's here. You know, you can store so much information on say, like an iPhone, right? I've got a bunch of photos and movies in here, and yet it's not heavier. It doesn't weigh anything to have all those videos on there at all. Right. It's the same weight as a brand new iPhone 11. But it's full, and that one's empty. So you see, what we have to understand is that all things are stored in counter space, which we can't see. As the scripture says in Hebrews, we know that all things visible were created from things invisible. That's spiritual science in the Bible. And those pictures, I can show you a picture of my mum. Oh, isn't she beautiful? There's my mum, you know, but she's not in there. Right. Hello, mum. Come out and say hello, please. Can you manifest? No, because mum here is just a bunch of zeros and ones. Yeah. And that's what atom means. It means numbers. It means 1 and 2. Atom means 1, the indivisible. Tom, the name of the sun, the demiurge, means 2, twin. Thomas the twin. For how many people that I've, you know, just by the name Thomas, I've got 2 friends that are twins that are called Thomas already that I know. But for how many people I've met, what's your name? Thomas. Oh, yeah. You got a twin brother, twin sister? No way. How did you know? Because Thomas means twin. It happens astrologically. The parents do not choose their name. Right. The brothers and sisters, no one chooses anybody's name. Right. It's in the stars. It comes with you. Right. It's your package. No one interferes with that. No one does. So Tom means 2, and atom, because a privative in Greek, deprives the following word of its true meaning. Theist, atheist, normal, abnormal. So totally gives the opposite meaning. So we have, in atom, you have the word 1 and 2. But in reverse, you have the word MAT, atom, MAT, which is math. The universe is mathematical, zeros and ones. So the reverse of every word gives you the source of that word.
Wow.
For instance, Adam becomes madam because man comes from woman. Adum, because you can use any vowels. Adum backwards is mud. Adam came from the dust of the earth.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just trying to think of other examples, but suffice to say that when you look at, this is why the ancient esoteric said, study to say words backwards.
Wow.
Even dark occultists like Aleister Crowley, whom I used to read when I was a Led Zeppelin lover since I was 17, because Jimmy Page was owned Crowley's mansion and a lot of his books. So I knew that he used to say all the time, ever since I grew up, learn to do things in reverse. Learn to do things in reverse. So I do this with words, and I find the source of the word in the word.
Wow.
This happens all the time, bar none. So atom means one, ton means two, and backwards, math is the source of all the numbers. It's a mathematical universe, which is mental. So when you say, because I often think, how did all this beautiful science begin and everything? Well, it's a mind. Astrology is the mind of God. It shows you how the mind of God works. Mm-hmm. God being electromagnetic conscious energy. Mm-hmm. So you will always come to that conclusion, whether you start off as a physicist, working for a corporation, a doctor, whoever you are, you start here in your learning, you bump into the electromagnetic phenomenal world, and magnetism is the source of it all. And she's the Virgin Mary, the mother of God, electricity. And the partner of white magnetism is black dielectricity. So it's very important to include dielectricity. The black and white yin and yang is nothing other than dielectricity black, rest, magnetism white, motion, rest, and motion. That's why Christ is black. There's black Jesus, yeah? Christ, because it's resting black light.
Wow.
Madonna is always white, and you do get black Madonnas, but mostly you see the Virgen of Guadalupe, for instance, here in Mexico. She's white, glowing. In fact, I carry her with me in my phone all the time. There is the beautiful Virgin.
Aww.
So they came here. Her name was Tonantzin, and they called her the Virgin of Guadalupe. I did a video, folks. You can go back to where was I? Yeah, the Virgin of Guadalupe resort in Mexico, just north of Mexico City. I've got a video on it, and I show you the original one that the conquistadors found, and they said that it was not painted. It has been in Mexico forever. This Virgin, this is a copy of it. Everywhere you go in Mexico, everywhere you go, in fact, I have another version of it.
There she is.
You see those rays?
Yeah.
That's called radiation.
Wow.
Magnetism radiates.
Yes.
Electricity vibrates. So when you meet someone with a radiating heart, do you ever say, oh man, I met a beautiful person today whose heart was just vibrating? No. They may have good vibes.
Right.
But you always say they were radiating, because the heart is magnetic. The mind is electrical. That's why there's a copper and it's copper and iron in here with the cerebrum and the pineal gland. It's a battery. Right. It's a battery. And what was I getting at? Okay, never mind. It may not have been important. It would have been about, so the Virgin produces the white light, which is...
She's radiating. I had a quick question about that.
I got it.
You got it?
So this is vibrating. That's why people have noisy minds.
Right.
We make thought waves here, and in our liver, Sagittarius, we make emotion waves.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is if we keep thinking negative things and, well, I hate my brother, I want to kill him, and every day you want to kill your brother because he stole your money and your wife, well, what's going to happen is you're going to create an electromagnetic egregore, an entity. Pretty soon this problem is going to be a complete other identity that you identify with, which will always be with you and which will cause havoc in your life. It's called a demon or an egregore. And this is because we're not controlling the vibrations of the mind.
Yes.
Going into the heart will control the vibrations of the liver and the emotion waves that it generates. Because if you can get liver, a lot of people are liver toxic. Why? Because of their bad emotions. Mm-hmm. Not because they drink alcohol or whatever. It's because they are an emotional wreck. Right. And their liver goes first. And they get leukemia as well. Wow. Because of bitterness.
Yes.
So way to destroy your organs is to deprive them of magnetism. That's why you need to meditate and do all the correct things to keep your organs vital and nourish them. Proper sex, white tantra, non-ejaculatory. You save your potassium, your magnesium, your life force. You recycle it, and you can even have an extended orgasm if you like as well. You know, I mean, the master who masters this science, he never needs ever to have, bestial sex by ejaculating and killing. Why would you kill yourself? I mean, that's the most vital energy, magnetic energy, is in the seminal fluids. Mm-hmm. That's why young men are sent to a seminary to become a priest, because they have to learn a lot about semen and semen retention and how to use it to become spiritual. Mm-hmm. You see? So, again, we come to life force and keeping it in you, being very hydrated and staying malleable and humble and pliable in your relationships. In fact, I wanted to read to you after this question, the next question of yours, because I see you've got a question, but I wanted to read to you something ancient from Firmicus Maternus about how astrologers should comport themselves and the behaviour of astrologers, just to show people that we are the ones who understand God and philosophical science way more than any of your pastors in your churches. Pastor, minister. Why don't these pastors teach you about the stars?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Please read it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you've got a question though. Let's do it, because Firmicus Maternus was a wonderful inspiration of mine.
Well, I mean, it kind of segues exactly into what you're saying. Honestly, I before we got too far away from it, I wanted to talk. You mentioned they who burned the Library of Alexandria, and I wanted to talk a little bit about who they are, and I mean, what with everything going on in the world, etc. But it actually segues nicely into what you're going to read. So let's do that, and then we can go into that.
Sure. They are service to self, artificial, soulless entities, parasites, vampires. They are bloodthirsty. They are what some would call demons. We are demigods. And these entities need soul energy. It's called loosh. And that's why the Allman Brothers sang sunshine's better than, soul shine, better than sunshine, better than moonshine,
Yeah.
damn sure better than rain. So soul shine, that's why the sun's called soul, by the way. Solar.
Yep.
Yeah, and Sol Invictus, which means the invincible sun, birthday 25th of December, because it's in the goat and it's got to wax up to the Tropic of Cancer now, because he's down the bottom. So, of course, that's the birthday of the sun, SONSUN, Jesus Christ, the Son. Again, I lost my track of thought because when I've got some real juicy truths, I go ahead of myself.
Soulless, bloodthirsty, demons.
Okay, man, did I drift away there? Yeah, so these people want that energy, and we have it. We are the children of God. We are stars. You are a young star. You are a sister. You are a master. You are a superstar. You are a rock star. You're all these stars. You're all of those archetypes. You know, in other lives, you were probably a mobster and a fraudster. And but in this life, if you're an astrologer, as I'm going to describe in a minute when I read Firmicus Material, if you're of this kind of astrologer that is not an alcoholic and a drug abuser and a glutton, because I see a lot of overweight. No judgments here, because I know they're messing with our DNA, and some people are obese due to that, like my sister. Here I am, skinny as have been all my life.
Yeah.
But my sister, on the other hand, is obese. And that's not due to her being a glutton. I can assure you of that, because she's not. And she was messed with. And with everyone's getting messed with frequencies. Some people get depressed, some suicidal, some obese, and you can't change that because they change the sequence of the codons. And that's what the mRNA, that's what all, I don't want to go into that because I don't want this flagged at all, but that's what they're trying to do, right? To patent you and own you, because now, free humans cannot be. And so that's the extent that these entities are going to. They want it all, including your corpus, corporation, body. So I believe that they are just entities that choose to be evil. I don't believe they were created in such a way. I believe that they did have the fall and they were enticed and they followed the enticements and the allurements. And, now they've just become tyrants to the point where they even hate themselves. They're exposing themselves now. We don't have to do much more. They're making just such fine theatre and mockery of the whole scenario that even the people who watch them and believe in them are starting to disbelieve, and they've just about come to the limit and stretching the credibility that these people are, floating out as the science. I mean, I won't go into it.
Different podcast.
Too many science believers, not many science knowers.
Absolutely.
Too many people have second-hand knowledge, not first-hand. If I tell you that my friend Bob's car is blue, because I know Bob for 40 years and he's never told a lie, and I tell people that without seeing the car. So if I don't go and open the door of the garage and in fact verify that it's not blue, it's red, because I know Bob's a truther, but he's colourblind. So now I've become an inadvertent liar, but I'm still a liar because I'm preaching second-hand, indirect knowledge. Our academy teaches direct knowledge. Simple. It's in the wave. It's in astrology. If you want direct knowledge, if you want to open the door and check for yourself so you don't become a liar and get first-hand knowledge, I saw it, it's red. Thank you, colourblind friend of 40 years, Bob. But you didn't tell me you were colourblind.
Right.
So here my professor taught me that when I was in school. You should know that. Polio was the vaccines stopped it. No, they just changed the diagnosis protocol and gave it a different name, and it's still didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So they believe these guys who give them secondhand knowledge, but did they see for themselves if in fact it did do what they said? No, they didn't. They don't have direct knowledge. They didn't do the research. See, all my work is based on direct knowledge through research and proper use of intuition.
Awesome. Do you want to read your piece?
Yeah, I sure do, man. I love Firmicus Maternus. Please get Mathesios, written in the 4th century. He must have been a Neoplatonist. He speaks about Plotinus, who lived 200 years prior, one of the founders of Neoplatonism, 600 years after Plato. So he speaks about Plotinus and Plato, and I think he even speaks about Porphyry, which is interesting because Porphyry was the student of Plotinus, and I believe that Firmicus lived in the time of the student of Porphyry, Iamblichus, which are my two favourite. Porphyry, thank you. We still have his house system, although the Romans have hoarded his 12 volumes of astrology, and they've never seen the light of day since the Inquisition, and so we still have Porphyry's house system, but we don't have those 12 books, because if we did, we'd learn about the electromagnetic astrological system as I teach it, because that's how I learnt it. I learnt it off Porphyry. But Emperor Julian, the apostate, who brought astrology and Neoplatonism back to the Roman Empire in 363, he said that Iamblichus was the greatest of all the godly men, far greater than Plato, far greater than Pythagoras, and this is the Emperor of Rome, and who was a contemporary of Iamblichus. And I would recommend you get Iamblichus's book on the Egyptians and the Chaldeans and their tropical astrology, folks. Okay?
How do you spell his name?
Iamblichus. I did a video as well on my channel. If you punch in IUAMBLUCHS, I think it's Iamblichus. But I've done a presentation on Iamblichus, guys, and then go and see the one on the ancient vegetarian astrological diet, the ancient roots of vegetarianism. Watch those two videos, and then you'll have much more respect for Porphyry and Iamblichus. And my school academy here is based on their great teachings. Okay, so this is what a contemporary of them said: Life and Training of an Astrologer, Book 30, page. I'm on a show. Hey. Yo, I'm on a show. Yeah. So, here he says, now you, whoever you are, who try to read these books, since you have received the whole knowledge of this divine science, so if you're a diviner, if you're a sorcerer, well, the source is divine, and we must be diviners. You see how the churches have made us look evil?
Yep.
When in fact we are just love. Let me get this. This might just be the post.
No worries.
Sorry. Hola. Hola.
Bueno.
Sí, diga.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Muy buen día. Mi nombre es Jocelyn Belligos. Me comunico para ofrecerle una recarga de 100 pesos.
No, gracias. All right. That's my Telcel company here, service provider down in Mexico. They're so ruthless here, man. They're trying to, every day someone wants you to go to their company, you know? So, and are now endowed with the secrets of the stars and have learned the first principles of the art, shape yourself in the image and likeness of divinity, so that you may always be a model of excellence. He who daily speaks about the gods or with the gods must shape his mind to approach the likeness of divinity. Therefore, study and pursue all the distinguishing marks of virtue. When you have trained yourself in these, be easy of access, so that if anyone wishes to consult you about anything, he may approach you without fear. Be modest, upright, sober. Eat little. Be content with few goods, so that the shameful love of money may not defile the glory of this divine science. Try with your training and principles to outdo the training and principles of worthy priests. Yeah. Oh yeah, we outdo the worthy priests for sure. We outrun them. Those pastors are not teaching about the astors, the astros. We are. For it is necessary that the acolyte of the sun and moon and the other gods, through whom all earthly things are governed, should so educate his mind always that it be proved worthy by the attestation of all mankind. Keep away at all times from the enticements of the shows. Everyone wants to go to the shows, to be where the action is, the festivals, lest anyone think that you are a patron of this kind of thing, for the priest of the gods must be apart from low, base pleasures. When you have equipped your mind with the characteristics and protections of virtue, approach with confident boldness of mind this book, as well as the following books which have been written on forecasting from the stars. But if your mind has strayed in any way from these principles which have been laid out about human character, see that you do not approach the mysteries of this doctrine with a perverse instinct of curiosity or sacrilegious rashness. Do not entrust the secrets of this religion to the sinful greed of men's minds, for one should not initiate souls of depraved men into holy rituals. This divine science cannot at any time adhere to a mind captured and stained by wicked greed. I see some astrologers there that are wickedly greedy. Oh my, how much they charge. I charge well as well. But why so much? Who are you that you should do that to some
I
poor?
agree.
Even if people can afford it, you must be modest.
I agree.
You are polluting the divine science. I see astrologers with a cup of wine, drinking, and they're like, and Jupiter's in the fifth.
Yeah.
And I see them with all these, they don't look good.
Yeah.
And they don't, there's something wrong. You can tell they're on crack or something. I mean, either cocaine or some poor quality heroin. I don't know what they're doing. Or they're alcoholics. I can see, I've got this intuition about alcohol. I can see an alcoholic from a million miles away. The way they talk, the skin, it's all the livery skin, the liver's toxic. You can see it in their eyes. You see it under their eyes. You can see it all. And I've seen about half of the astrologers, all of them, the Copernican ones who believe the moon is a rock, they're all alcoholics.
Yeah.
So
it's funny
don't go
because
anywhere near them.
I got sober when I started doing chart readings. I had to. I mean, even if I had drank the night before and I had a little hangover, I can't give a reading like that. There's no.
You cannot partake of these things. So we must be blameless in all of our activities.
Yeah.
We have to be a role models. We have to be good. Good is God with an O missing. So we are goodness. Thank you, Manly P. Hall. So and I see that, and I see they are very, very greedy, and got these mansions. And didn't we just hear that we should have little possessions and eat little? They're gluttons, right? And it always sustains the greatest loss when it is defamed by improper intentions. Therefore, be pure and chaste. And if you have separated yourself from all kinds of wicked activity which destroy the spirit, and if the desire for the right way of life has freed you from any suspicion of crime, and if you conduct yourself as one mindful of the divine seed, approach this work and commit to memory the following books. In this way, having attained the true knowledge of this divine art, when you calculate the destinies of men and chart the course of their lives, you will be directed not only to your readings, but also by the conclusions of your own reasoning. Thus, own divinely inspired ideas may be of more profit to you than the traditions of the written word. So again, we see astrologers as well who have partners who are drunks. Well, you are who your partner is, because when the two unite and mix fluids, they become one. That's what the Bible says. And Adam and Eve became one flesh. So you can't be there, oh, I'm an astrologer and I do alchemy, and but my partner's a drunk, and even Firmicus said that he shouldn't be a criminal, he shouldn't have a criminal record. And there's a chasm, I'm trying to think of the words right on the tip of my tongue, between the two ancient astrologers and the New Age ones. When you hear anything that has New Age, run away.
Yeah.
Okay? It's all Jesuit. It's all based on the Copernican revolution. Go to Wikipedia and study the Copernican revolution. He said about a revolution whereby the Jesuits would infiltrate all nations and subdue their stationary earth, horizontal plane-et model that they all had, every single one, bar none, even the Aboriginals in Australia. And how do we know this? Well, when you look at the astrological wheel, you see the line going from the AC to the DC, AC, DC, yeah? That's called, thank you, Firmicus Maternus, the line of the earth. Thank you, Bonatti, 12th century astrologer, before Copernicus, who said the line of truth. And now astrologers call it the horizon.
Wow.
And guess what? It never moves. Oh, yeah, the MC goes around like this. If Cancer's rising, the MC will be to the right.
Right.
If Capricorn's rising, the MC goes all the way over to the left. Goat's on the left.
Right.
So, but the AC and DC, the Earth, is always stationary. This is why astrologers, they can't understand why the MC is the south and the IC is the north. They're always asking me, but why is the top the south? You know, because I know the astronauts landed on the moon.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
That's what all the New Age astrologers are. Just that. Drunkard, moon rock believers.
And a lot of them are getting this.
What's that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, they're going straight down there. Yep. I got it. Looking after everybody else. Yep. And they're all into this New Age, 13 signs your sign should be different if you're born in the Southern Hemisphere. No, I'm Aryan, and you can tell I'm Aryan, and I was born in Australia.
What degree is your sun? What degree is your sun?
3rd degree of Aries.
Nice. I'm a 12-degree Aries rising and a 20-degree Aries north node. So your sun's in my 12th house.
Right.
Yeah.
Aries. So you're Aries rising?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you can see that. You can see that Marshall. You can see the Ram. You can see that action. Intelligence. It's about intelligence. The cerebrum. Aries is cerebrum. Taurus is cerebellum. Mm-hmm. There's the twins, Gemini. Cancer's the chest. Leo's the lion heart. Virgo's the belly. Libra's the kidneys. Yin and yang, balancing. Scorpio's the genitals. Sagittarius is the hips. Hippo, horse. Capricorn's the knee, kneecaps. Aquarius is the shins. Pisces, the 2 feet, are the 2 fish, which works in Spanish. Los dos pies los dos peces, which works in Italian. I due piedi, I due pesci. You see?
Yeah.
The twins. You see, Michelangelo at the Last Supper, the third disciple, Gemini, he's got his hands up like this.
Wow, yeah. Huh.
Right. So I forget where I started off on that. Hey, do you mind if I just take a bathroom break?
I have to as well. Let's do it. We'll come back.
All right, I'm good to go.
Cool. Okay, so
let me continue on though and finish that point. So why is the MC the South? North is always on top. And so you can only understand this when you understand astrology is geocentric.
Right.
It's geocentric. When you're standing on the line of the earth, thank you, Firmicus Maternus, and thank you, Bonatti. When you're standing on the line of the earth, which never moves, that's why you never see the earth inside the chart wheel, do you? You see Mars and Venus,
right,
but you never see the earth moving in relation to them according to their speeds at the speed at which we are going.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's always a fixed earth, AC, DC, and everything goes around clockwise daily, while the planets are going counterclockwise yearly through the ecliptic, and all the signs go, and all the signs go that way. I'll do it for the viewers. So they go counterclockwise yearly, but daily it's going clockwise. That's for you. So clockwise, it's going daily. So if you're standing on that line, let's say you're in Boston or Alaska, if you don't face south, you're not going to see the sun go from the left, rising in the east and setting in the west if you're in Alaska. If you're facing north, right, you're going to miss all that action.
Right.
So the MC is the south.
Right.
You see, from your perspective on that solid bar called the line of truth, which determines all things. That's why we have AC/DC. And in fact, Porphyry's contemporary, forget the guy's name, he was a Greek, he said, Adam is the astrological chart. Ascendant, descendant, meridian, Adam. And he said, we are all children of Adam because we are all children of these gods. Adam, atom, sun, moon, Venus, etc. So Adam, this is for all the potential Christians that may listen to this show wanting to stone me to death.
Yeah.
There it is. It's in the chart. Everyone is a child of Adam because everyone has an ascendant, a descendant, an MC, and an IC.
Wow.
Adim. And Adim is how you say Mars in Hebrew. Ma Adim. Wait a minute. Adam is in the word Mars, and Venus sounds like, if you put an E in front of Venus, you get Eve.
Yeah.
And Adam means red, and Mars is blatantly red, fiery red. Mm-hmm. And what color would Venus happen to be now, I wonder?
Blue.
Blue.
Yeah.
Just like Esau was red and Jacob was blue. Cain was red and Abel was blue. Adam is red. It's in the word. Eve means blue. Chava. So it's all red shift, blue shift. It's all astrological. Red pill, blue pill. Red blood, blue blood. Roses red, violets blue. Republicans are red, Democrats are blue. The siren is red and blue. The taps, the faucets in your kitchen, red for hot, blue for cold.
Whoa.
Blue for baby boys, pinky red for baby girls.
Wow.
In the Matrix, red pill, blue pill. You know, it's a red shift, blue shift. See, that's why you have a red and blue yin and yang as well. The Korean flag, the South Korean flag has a red and blue yin and yang. And then you see the four I Ching surrounding it of earth, water, air, and fire. And in the middle is the red and blue, Pepsi, Pepsi Cola, red and blue, yin and yang, telling you in your face that that is the god of the demiurge. That's why they call it Pepsi, because Pepsi is another way of saying Saturn, Satan.
Yeah. Oh, let's go into that a little bit. Let's talk about Saturn a bit, because I get so many comments on my channel of people, you know, I hate Saturn, I love Saturn, and I'd love to talk a little bit about the presence of Saturn, a spectrum, especially the spectrum of Saturn, in the sense that, in one sense, he is, I mean, sort of like this heavenly father archetype, but he's also Satan, Kronos. So could you talk a little bit about the spectrum of Satan? Or of Saturn?
Yeah, for sure. It's okay to hate Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. He's a malefic. It's okay to love Saturn. It's the demiurge. It's time, Kronos. So it's okay to have both views, because Saturn performs both of those functions. He saves you in the end, because you must go through eventually the portal of Saturn, the wormhole of Saturn, to go back to cause.
Yeah.
Just as the photo of my mother, when I turn my phone off, it goes back to the archive, back to the zeros and ones function, where it sits there waiting to be resurrected again, reboot. And that's the perfect analogy of what's going on. Saturn enables what you do every day when you reboot your computer. It's like a resurrection.
Yeah.
And then your screen is the physical body, the RAM is the soul, the archive is the spirit.
Right.
But everything goes back to the spirit. At night, you turn your computer off, you're writing your autobiography, so you're up to chapter 5. Tomorrow, you reboot, chapter 6. Next day, chapter 7. In the end, you've got a book. So, but as long as you look after your spirit and the RAM, your soul, and you don't lose it, if a Trojan gets into that file, one day you reboot, oh no, I didn't back up what? You know how many times I've done that? That's how people will be when they're in a mentet and Osiris is judging their heart, weighing their heart against the feather, same word, in the land of a mentet, and Horus is waiting to plead in their favor, and the heart is heavier than the feather.
Wow.
That's how people are going to be when you reboot your computer and you realize you lost all those files with one. That's how they're going to be, because there's no going back to anything. They've lost it. Right. They've lost it along the way. They were prodigal sons. They didn't do what Firmicus Maternus advised them to do. And Porphyry, be sober. Don't be greedy. This is wicked. Don't go to the shows. Be accessible and humble so people can come and ask you, and you give them your time.
So then you basically get shot back here to do it again, to learn it again.
Yeah. Well, see, this is why Saturn is hated, because every time you go back and you see all the transits that happened when you had an accident, when you broke your bone, when your father died, and everything, Saturn's always there. In the 8th house, the 12th house, the 6th house, squaring with Saturn, or in Cancer, conjunct Saturn, which would be a disaster, definitely a disaster. 4th house, 4, the number of death. Guaranteed, you'll find Saturn has always been the bad boy.
Yeah.
But in the end, wherever Saturn is, that lesson that you've learned, if you have paid attention and that you have been optimizing, ascending, not descending, on the right-hand path, thank you, Baphomet, right hand up, pointing to the sun, left hand pointing to the moon. Sin is the name of the moon. Sinners go down to hell, descend. The right-hand path of purity, ascension. And that's what our school is all about. Neoplatonists were ascensionists. So they spoke how to do this without a vicarious saviour, which is why Christianity had to try to obliterate them. Otherwise, Western Europe was Neoplatonist for thousands of years. They were Hermetists.
Wow.
So yeah, let's love Saturn and let's hate him at the same time, because we must hate those things that are worthy of hate, and not him, necessarily. We're not directing that hate toward the God. It's directed toward the actions, and because they must do their work. Firmicus Maternus in this book says, if there were only Jupiter, the lives of men would be immortal. They would be gods if there were only Jupiter in the sky.
Right.
But the Demiurgus, God, deemed it worthy to place other bodies in the solar system, so that by their turning and churning, they would wear down the bodies of men, so that they would have short lives and forget who they were and have to fight for their ascension.
Wow.
That's why Jupiter is the greater benefic. Jupiter, Zeus, is Jesus, and in the Bible, he is the greater beneficiary, benefactor. But in astrology, he's a benefic. It's the same signs. It's Jupiter, Zeus, Jesus. One stands on Mount Olympus, one stands on the Mount of Olives, but it's still Zeus. Jesus lives next door to me. Here in Puerto Morelos, there's a couple of friends of mine are called Jesus, and I say, Zeus, thank you for preserving the name of the God of gods and the King of kings, Jupiter Zeus, for all men would be immortal if only his light would shine down.
Wow. That's so beautiful.
Yep.
I think, huh?
It is beautiful to know the gods. Know who you are. You are God with difference. You are God with difference. Those who say, I am God, they're speaking half-truths. You can't say that.
Yeah.
You can say, I am a God, but you are God.
Yeah.
Most certainly you are God. You must never vacate that position. You will be a fool and a sinner. But you must also stipulate that you are God with difference, because you have your own individuality and you want to keep that because you are beautiful uniquely. You don't want to go to the one and merge with the one and just be one Om, as the godless Buddhists of the Jesuit days teach. Not the Zen Buddhists, who they were, of course, all the traditions spoke of God.
Right.
There are no godless.
That's such an important distinction, because that is what the New Age nightmare is all about, is I'm God and I'm controlling reality. And it's interesting, the New Age is always obsessed with manifesting abundance, manifesting abundance, manifesting abundance, big car, lots of clothes, everything I want. It's greed. It's greed masquerading as something else. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because to me it's so obvious, but people get fooled by it. And there's all these women circles every full moon to manifest abundance, manifest abundance, manifest abundance. And I'm like, where's your service? Like, what are you actually doing? Other than trying to be beautiful and powerful and rich. That's yeah.
Greedy, lustful, vice-ridden individuals. They lust after things of no consequence to spirituality. It's all right to have nice furniture and a nice house and to have good things. You must have good things. You don't want to have a house full of rotten shit. It makes you feel bad. You want some nice art. You want some beautiful things. This is proper.
Yeah.
But these people are what I call false prophets with an I. They love to profit from astrology. See, I don't want to get rich. I don't want tennis courts, helicopters, jets, mansions. I don't want any of that shit. Doesn't make sense to me. Okay, so I'm offering, or at least teaching, the true path, which is to live your your philosophy. See, when I was a flamenco guitarist busking on the streets for 12 years, I felt like a gypsy flamenco, and people see me at the paying for my gas, and, hey, young man, they say hello and say, you're a musician? Everybody knew that I didn't know, knew I was a musician, because I dressed with the music garb. I was a flamenco guitarist, I was on the street, and I was a gypsy. It was like being a gypsy. So I lived it. I didn't contrive this. Yeah. I didn't say, I'm going to make 5 albums and sell 150,000 albums, which I have done in 12 years, and so which is platinum in Australia, and gold and all of that. So what was the point? So
you were living it. You didn't plan it.
Exactly. So I didn't contrive it. Most of that, my own music. It was my own music. I wrote it. Most of it, 90% of it. Some were covers, but that music comes from. It wasn't a project to become a millionaire,
right,
or to become rich. The end was not money. That was not the end. I had a Sony deal contract I could have signed. I said no to them. Because they knew I was selling thousands of streets. I'd go on a Sunday. I'd go out for 2 hours and make $2,000, on my own. So they knew, word gets around. Hey, there's an instrumentalist, and he's selling a lot of CDs, and so they want to sign you up. And I refused, lots of deals. In fact, one of them was with Bill Gates back in 2001 when I played for him. Yeah, at MGM Grand Arena in Las Vegas at the Comdex IT, the largest IT expo in the world. And he used to, on the Sunday, he used the week of Comdex. It's now defunct, but the week of Comdex, Bill Gates would turn up and do his Microsoft speech. So I was booked to play with another guy, Bonacci and Wood, 45-minute set before he came out and released in 2001 Xbox. So I was standing right in front of him at the stand. We had an opportunity there because we made history. Our engineers got the gig because they gave away for free technology, how to burn DVDs and make them in real time at a concert. The next day, we had 1,500 pressed DVDs, which Bill Gates did not have the technology to do. Our project, $2 Green, we made history with our engineers in that we gave to Microsoft the technology. You could go rock up at an event, film it live, next day had DVDs within 12 hours. We did it. The first in history.
Wow.
And that was at the Bonacci and Wood concert that we did. So I knocked that back. Even then I knew. Even then I wasn't giving to my son. I went to a homeopath 28 years ago. My Libran son, who's never been V'd, tortured and raped, I went to a homeopath. And I was a Jehovah's Witness back then. I was semi-awake. And I went to a homeopath and I got him to give him those minerals and all of those vaccinations or immunizations in a homeopathic way. He was advertising that he was doing it. So I did that, and I recorded when he was 1, when he was 2, when I went to school. They asked for the vaccination papers. Even way back then, 28 years ago, they were asking for them.
Wow.
And I handed over that homeopathic thing, and they said, "Thank you very much."
Amazing.
So this subject's going everywhere. So this excuse me.
No, we're good. I want to give you one more chance to plug your school, and I'm obviously going to put it down below. But yeah, I guess just one more time, let's tell people where they can find you.
Yes. Syncretismsociety.com. We're going to launch it tomorrow. History's in the making. Again, I'm going to make history.
You're launching it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's launching tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah, we've got all the teachers in there, and I want you in there, Alex, once a week. find a slot and get in there. It's
I'm
paid
there.
work.
I'm there.
We're going to pay. Everyone's getting paid because people have to subscribe to the virtual academy, and there's certain amounts that you can pay, and you get a monthly subscription or a yearly subscription. And we have the best platform. We've got the best teachers, and we want the best astrologers.
Wow. I will be reaching out to you for that. That's amazing. Yeah, so for everybody that's watching, I'm going to put all of Santos's places to find him, Instagram, YouTube, all the things. I'll put it down in the description. But thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. I've been looking forward to it for so long, and it did not disappoint. You always blow my mind, and it's just such an honor to get to speak with you again. So good to see your beautiful face, and thank you.
Likewise, beautiful sister. Likewise.
Lots of love to you.
Much love to you and your audience, and thank you very much. I look forward to the next one.